Professor Daniel Mashau, Executive Dean, Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment. Professor Megersa Olumana, Dinka, our inductee tonight. Professor Yali Woyesa, Professor and Assistant Dean, Research, Innovation and Engagement at Central University of Technology. Senior leaders of the university, members of Senate, other academics present, students and distinguished guests, and all those who have joined us online. Good evening. Sanbonani Huyanan. It is indeed a great honor and a special privilege for me to welcome you to the Professorial Inauguration Lecture of Professor Megersa, Dinka. As I do so, I wish to express a warm welcome to his loved ones, special guests and colleagues. I see he has his 2 sons here, his 2 lovely daughters, and his lovely wife tonight. This is indeed a proud and joyful, yet a landmark moment for all of you, for Professor Dinka, for us here at UJ, for higher education in South Africa and beyond. The inauguration of professors is a public ceremony in which newly appointed professors are inducted into office by the Vice Chancellor and deliver their inaugural addresses. The ceremony has its roots in the medieval university and serves multiple purposes. First, it is an expression of welcome and an entry for new professors joining the circle of colleagues who are already professors. Secondly, it provides a platform for professors to display their expertise in the discipline and showcase their research. In the traditions of old subscribed to by many universities, assuming the role of the professor refers to the gown and the cap. Once we have listened to the inaugural address, the gown denoting the professorship will formally be assumed. Today we gather to witness Professor Dinka's entry into the illustrious community of scholars at our university. It celebrates his contributions to the discipline and ultimately his impact on society. Professors provide a university with its identity, character, academic legitimacy, and integrity. The inaugural lecture is a rite of passage following the confirmation of the appointment of a person as a professor. This evening we will listen to Professor Megersa Dinka as the gown goes to town. By this I mean that the power of the inaugural address is when the expertise is showcased beyond the corridors of the university and reverberates with society. It stands out as a moment of pride for Prof. Dinka, the family, fellow scholars, the university, and ultimately society. In the past, several philosophers and scholars have defined universities using very narrow conceptualizations. For example, the search for truth or for universal knowledge, and even as instruments serving the purpose of the economy or being utilitarian in nature. Through our work and research at UJ, I hope that we can break out of these narrow conceptualizations and reflect on the university as a contributing to the public good, working towards societal impact. What is the role of the intellectual? Edward Said, in one of his articles, defines the role of the intellectual as one who commands a vast knowledge of a specific discipline, one who is rigorous in the analysis of literature, one who views being an intellectual as a vocation, and who functions as a kind of public memory to recall what is forgotten or ignored, to make the connections that are otherwise hidden, and to provide alternatives for mistaken policies. It remains then for us, as a university with a Pan-African vision, to derive our mandate as intellectuals and professors. And importantly, how do we embrace the role of a professor as a disruptor while continuing to be flagship carriers of our disciplines? This evening, we will listen to Professor Megersa Dinka as one further step in the journey of being a professor. This is a journey which does not conclude once this lecture has been given. Notwithstanding, this inaugural lecture does create an opportunity for a self-reflective pause in the journey of a professor. Let me now invite the Executive Dean, Professor Daniel Mashau, to introduce Professor Megersa Dinka. I thank you.
Good evening. It is my pleasure today to introduce to you Professor Megersa Dinka. I will be reading his narrative CV. You do have it in your copy, so you can follow me. I will not be reading every word. I just joked with him that I'll be picking up some points, and later on he will give you a chance to go and underline some few words there. And the dates, Prof, the dates you gave there, they'll be looking at them to say, I thought I was with you in 2018. You didn't mention anything about me. Professor Megersa Dinka is currently a professor in water engineering at the Department of Civil Engineering Science at our university. He's a registered professional engineer with the Engineering Council of South Africa since 2018. He was also registered as an irrigation engineer in Ethiopia. He is also rated a researcher by the NRF of South Africa from 2018 to 2022. He's a member of various professional bodies, and as you can see, he says, etc. The most important ones will be EXA, SAICA, IMESA, Soil Science Society of Ethiopia, Oromia Society of Economic Development, and UJ Civil. Professor Dinka holds a PhD from 2010 from a degree in hydrology and water management from University of Natural Resources and Applied Life Sciences in Austria. He also did his postdoctoral research 2012 to 2014 at Tshwane University of Technology, Department of Civil Engineering. He also has experience of working at Haramaya University in Ethiopia. He has about 18 years of experience as an academician and 22 years as a researcher. He has taught various courses, modules at undergraduate and postgraduate levels at different institutions in Ethiopia and in South Africa. The professional career of Professor Dinka is summarized as follows: junior to researcher in Ethiopia Sugar Industries, lecturer to assistant professor at Haramaya University, where he was also a head of school, leading 4 departments, lecturer to full professor at University of Johannesburg. We have the history of when he joined UJ in November 2014 as lecturer, and also senior lecturer 2015, associate professor in 2018, and full professor in 2023. Currently, Prof. Dinka is the head of department, and through his leadership and with his presence, we were able as a faculty to obtain our accreditation by the Engineering Council of South Africa. Since he has become HOD, Prof. Dinka has worked hard towards the improvement of the various services in the department, such as laboratory upgrading, staff recruitment, module handling, and many others as mentioned in the document. Some of the activities of Prof. Dinka are summarized as follows: research productivity. He has indicated there that he's among the top 10% of research producers in Phoebe, and this is a fact. He's one of the big contributors in terms of our research. Research project coordination and leadership, student supervision. Prof. Dinka successfully supervised more than 34 master students and 10 doctoral students, 7 major and 3 as a co-supervisor, and 2 postdoctoral students successfully. Moreover, he has supervised more than 50 undergraduate students at HU and more than 60 undergraduate students at UJ. He has indicated his involvement with consultancy services in Ethiopia and also in South Africa. Prof. Dinka also contributed to a wider community. He has acted as a reviewer, examiner, moderator, assessor, interviewer, and panelist at various different institutions and forums. They are listed in the copy to see as some of those: reviewer of various articles from journals, moderations of modules and exams, curriculum review, assessor, panel member, and as a speaker. Professor Dinka is an active researcher, as we have said. He demonstrated the capability to do a research with limited or no research fund, which is evident from his research output, his H-index, and citations. He is among the top 5% active researchers in the world in the areas of water and environmental engineering. He has published a number of peer-reviewed scientific journals, 88 documents in Scopus, and over 120 documents in Google Scholar. See his profile, which is on Google Scholar. So we present to you today a scholar of note, an HOD, an active member of the community at UJ that we are very proud to have him today inaugurated. So after I sit down, you will hear from the expert. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the VC designate, Dr. Ralipata, who is our COO also, our faculty executive dean, Professor Daniel Mashau, and also my respondent, Professor Yali Waleesa. Of course, I would like to thank everyone who is attending this inauguration physically and online. It's of course all protocols are observed. That is UJ style. It's of course it's an honor for me to be here for my professional inauguration lecture. I would like to thank also my family who are here with me. So the content of my speech, first, I will try to talk my journey and the contribution to water engineering. And the part 2, I will try to talk about my major research projects and activities. And then at last, I will try to present my general views on some of the important topics which are directly or indirectly related to water. Starting from my journey, of course, I was born in Western Wallagga of Oromia regional state in Ethiopia from poor farmers. Of course, I studied in missionary school from grade 7 to 12, and I passed matric exam successfully. Of course, during my time, passing matric exam was not easy. Only highly talented students, only 2% will join higher institution. As work experience, I started as a junior researcher in Ethiopian sugar industries, and then promoted to researcher 1. Then, after having my master's, I joined Haramaya University as a lecturer in 2005, and then became assistant professor in 2010. I came to UJ almost after 9 years. I was employed as a lecturer in 2014, and then promoted to full professor 2023. You can see that it was painful for me actually to come back from assistant professor back to lecturer at UJ. That actually helped me to work hard and to be successful. Yes. And of course, the reason I accepted the position at UJ was, I'm a man of God, by the way, and there is a message from God to accept the position. Otherwise, my plan was to return back to my country at that time. The experience in Ethiopian sugar industries as a researcher gave me an opportunity to be a good researcher, by the way. So I get the good background in research in Ethiopian sugar industries, especially the Metahara, Wanjisha, and the Fincha sugar industries. These sugar industries are located in different locations in Ethiopia. And of course, nobody expected to be successful in life and in career also, including my families. I'm the youngest from my family. And of course, there were so many obstacles and boundaries in my life. But those obstacles and boundaries, of course, they motivated or they helped me to utilize my potential and reach my goals. So I like those people or individuals, by the way, who has been a obstacle or boundaries in my life, because they motivated me to be successful. In the Bible, in Romans chapter 8, verse 31, it says, if God is for us, who can be against us? So I believe that work and the success are a gift from God, which is indicated in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. It says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. That doesn't mean that we just sit down and God give us success. So there is a contribution from our side, and there is also from God's side. My contribution to water engineering, of course, I have a special interest in the establishment of water engineering discipline. And I like water, by the way, because water has a spiritual and a physical meaning. So it has a divine power, by the way. Water has a divine power also. It has healing power also. It has energy power also. So it's not divine side, on the physical side of water also, I have a special interest in the development of water sector, which is evident from my teaching experience, my research, postgraduate supervision, publication records, etc. The other contribution is water supply project for a community around Haramaya University, which I participated from its initial inception, detailed design, etc., without any payment. This is a water supply because it's addressing access to water supply, especially for the poor. The other project I contributed is the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. This is the biggest dam in Africa also. I was one of the 3 panelists who presented about the importance of this dam to Haramaya community at that time, Haramaya University community, both staff and support staffs. And we convinced staff members to contribute for the construction of the dam. The other contribution is water management in Ethiopian sugar industries. I did a lot of research related to water management to Ethiopian sugar industries, and I published more than 30 journal articles in that area. The other contribution is the water supply and management in South Africa. We studied the water consumption of behavior of student and staff, the water loss quantifications, the modeling of leakage, the wastewater or water treatment, etc. And we published a number of publications from that also. The other contribution is the human capacity development. Of course, I contributed to the human capacity development in Ethiopia and South Africa by supervising 10 doctoral students, 34 masters, etc. Part 2 of my speech is about some of my major research activities. The first one, and I like this research, is Lake Besaka expansion and its impacts. This research, of course, it contributed significantly for my study during doctoral study and for my promotion into professor also. This research was initiated while I was doing my PhD in Europe, and I studied in detail. You can see that this lake is very small. It's like a small surface pond, but gradually expanded. And in 2015, it's more than 50 square kilometers. The expansion of this lake is interesting, by the way, because most of the Ethiopia Rift Valley lakes are shrinking. But this lake is expanding. The other important thing is that this lake is highly saline and sodic. We cannot use it for irrigation or drinking. So the expansion of this lake has impacts into the region, and of course to the Awash River basin in Ethiopia also. So that's why I studied its impacts, then analyzed land use land cover change from satellite image. Then I did lake water balance modeling, the modeling of groundwater flux, hydrochemical sources in the origin, the surface runoff, soil erosion, and sediment yields are quantified. And I published more than 15 journal articles and 4 conference proceedings. And you can see that depending on the topography of the area, the lake is expanding in different directions. This is a research I did in 2008. And of course, based on my presentation, because the lake has a potential to join the river. There is a big river here. And it will contaminate because it's highly saline and sodic. And it's only the lake expansion, the lake increased almost by about 8 meters. The depth of the lake increased almost by 8 meters. Of course, in 2010, only 1 meter is holding the lake to flow towards the Awash River. Only 1 meter. And of course, in 2010, the lake already inundated this area. It's already inundated this area. Then it starts flowing. Therefore, the government of Ethiopia decided to mix it with Awash River by gravity without any treatments. And the other one is also the entire plain area. This plain area might be a chance to be submerged because the groundwater is very shallow. So the lake expansion sorry, my laptop is stuck. Yeah. So the lake expansion will have impacts on socio-economics and environment of the region. There is a sugar factory, Matara Sugar Factory. It is affecting the production and the productivity of the area significantly, and even is also inundating significant productive land. It's also interfering with the infrastructure in the region. There are highways and railways from the capital city towards the east. And these railways, the government is forced to change it 3 times because of the lake expansion. So it has a significant economic implications. It also affecting pastoralists in the area. There are pastoralists, the grazing lands are inundated. As you can see also from our analysis, the soil quality and groundwater quality are very poor close to the lake also, because there is a flow between the lake, the groundwater in the lake of the area. That's why I tried to see the land-to-land cover change, what's happening in the region. I took satellite image from 1973 to 2000. You can see in 1973, the forest coverage in the area was about 40%. But in 2000, it's reduced to less than 6%. There was a significant land use, land cover dynamics in the region because of the establishment of the sugar industry, and there is also Awash National Park. Of course, the land cover change will have significant implications on the lake water balance. So because of that, I tried to study the lake water balance. I developed a conceptual or mathematical lake water balance modeling. I started from the differential form of continuity equation, where all the inflows, outflows, and storage in the system are quantified. And therefore, I developed the general equation by quantifying all the inflows and outflows and the storage within the lake, that is storage within the system. And then I developed a model, a rating curve model between the area of the lake and the water depths. Of course, that model is tested, the performance is evaluated, as it performs very well, and therefore I simulated the water depths for different years and then compared with the measured values. So the modeling was with and without sedimentation. So of course, there is significant sediment deposition in the lake because it is a closed basin lake. And interestingly, during this region, there was a significant contribution from groundwater. From 1995 or 1996 up to 2000, there was significant change in groundwater contribution. So what happened, and of course the lake expansion is also very difficult, very quick that region during that period. And there were hypotheses I indicated The hypotheses are either there was opening of faults in the region where the groundwater is flowing to the lake from another area. The other one is there might be the two subsurface watersheds are combined together. And to check that, I tried to delineate the drainage structure of the area. And you can see that this is the drainage structure. All the inflows, the different catchments are identified in the region. And interestingly, what I found was there is a catchment on the left side. The catchment on the left side, that is a big catchment with no surface outflow. All such surface runoff will enter to the ground. Therefore, the idea of combining two subsurface watersheds might be the correct idea, or there may be a creation of faults which combines the two subsurface watersheds. So the idea is that the groundwater is flowing from this watershed into the lake. And of course, there were hot springs in the area. They were coming from this side, by the way, and currently it is submerged, especially after 2006. We cannot see the hot springs, but they are submerged, but they were coming from this direction. So the idea that there might be significant amount of groundwater flow towards the lake in recent years. So I tried to check the hydrochemical sources in the origin also from different studies in the past, including my study. And we found out that some quality parameters are decreasing initially, but since around 1985 or 1990, the water quality remains almost constant. And of course, that means there is a source of water and a chemical into the lake. There is a source of chemical, and or there might be a contamination by human activities. Because we expect dilution. If there is a rainfall in the area, if there is surface runoff, it's supposed to be diluted and the water quality supposed to be reduced. So, but in this lake, the water quality remains almost the same for many years. And I suggested a number of natural and anthropogenic sources. Especially from natural sources, the area is located where there is active geologic activities. The weathering process is still active in the area, and therefore there are some chemicals which are flowing to the lake underground. There might be also a saline water intrusion. There might be water flow from far distance towards the lake because it's located within the Rift Valley region where there are so many changes are happening, by the way. The second major research I would like to talk is water management and utilization in Ethiopian sugar states. From this research, especially in groundwater depth and quality, I installed a number of piezometers, groundwater monitoring piezometers, during my doctoral study in 2 big sugar states. And from there, we tried to analyze the groundwater depths, the quality aspects, the conjunctive use, the suitability for irrigation, drinking, etc. And we published more than 10 journal articles and 5 conference proceedings. And interestingly also, the main contribution is that you can see the groundwater depth in the area is very shallow. This is Wanjishawa sugar states, where the groundwater depth is mostly less than 1 meter below the ground. So it's very shallow. And therefore, What I suggested based on my presentation to the management in 2000, around 2010, was rather than irrigation, they are supposed to strengthen their drainage system. So I told them to strengthen their drainage system, and based on that, they modify their drainage system, and because of that, the production and the productivity of the sewage state increased significantly. Sorry for the. So this is, you can see irrigation during initial crop development stage. This is poor water management or irrigation water management. So I told them to stop irrigation during this period because the contribution from groundwater through capillary rise is very high. It is enough for the crop water requirements. So what they did was, this is the drainage system, the actual existing drainage system. Based on my device, then they introduced another drainage system in this area. And that helped them to increase production and the productivity. I also advised them in these areas, the upward arrows, I advised them to pump water and use it for irrigation. The water quality is good for irrigation. So they, rather than bringing water from another area, they can pump it and they can use it as a conjunctive use for irrigation purposes. The other one is about water and soil quality management. I'm not discussing in detail. From this research also, we published a number of journal articles and conference proceedings. The third main project is the impact of land use land cover change and climate change on water resources. This research was done in Ethiopia and South Africa. In South Africa, it is part of my postdoctoral research while I was at TUT. Of course, this is done through postgraduates and postdocs. We try to predict droughts in South Africa under changing climates using the two RCP scenarios, that is RCP 4.5 and 8.5. We also try to forecast monthly rainfalls. We forecast also stream flows for rivers. We estimated groundwater recharge under changing climates for Olifants River Basin by combining SWOT model and GIS. We try to analyze land use land cover change also for two watersheds in Ethiopia. And we published more than 18 publications from this research. The first one is the water supply and management in South Africa. We try to quantify the water loss in Pretoria and the Johannesburg cities. We did water consumption behavior of student staff at UJ. We try to analyze the domestic water consumption in some areas, and we try to develop integrated water loss management model in pipe networks. And currently we are busy with my doctoral student on the modeling of leakage in the pressurized pipe systems. In this case, what we are doing is we develop a theoretical model, and then we verify the theoretical model through experimental analysis, and we further verify the experimental results using the numerical modeling approach. So we try to analyze the pipe properties, that is the mechanical properties, with the fluid properties in this case. The next research is on geohydrological investigation at Doringfontein campus in University of Johannesburg. We try to investigate and understand the behavior of groundwater resources, where we used drastic and the modified drastic model combined with mode flow within GIS environments. Mode flow is the well-known tool or software for groundwater analysis. So we try to understand the hydrochemical origin and residence time of shallow groundwater. We try to see the water quality and suitability for different purposes, groundwater vulnerability to pollution, and we estimated groundwater recharge using water and chemical balance. So we published 4 journal articles from this research. The 6th one is the natural-based solutions in wastewater or water treatment. This is part of my international project, what we call it Rain Solutions Project, which we did it in collaboration with my postdoc. This research is already completed. And from this research, we published 7 journal articles, 1 book chapter, and 2 conference proceedings. So I'm not going in detail about the natural-based solutions. Interestingly, also, I got another international project this year, which is related to the natural-based solutions. The soil and the water pollution, this research was done in collaboration with my postdoc, Dr. Dinka. We tried to research the soil and the water contamination, both in Kenya and South Africa. Of course, we published a book last year, which is more than 400 pages. We did some research related to heavy metal pollutions within the soils and the vegetation. We also did research on landfill leachates within South Africa. We tried to see the effects of landfill leachates on groundwater and soil. The other research is optimization of energy consumption in domestic wastewater treatment. This research was done by my doctoral students. What we did was we tried to reduce energy consumption within biological aeration units in wastewater treatment, because wastewater treatment plant consumes lots of energy. So we did experimental analysis, and through modeling, simulation, and optimization models, we tried to achieve energy reduction of about 38.4%. And this has economic implications also. We published 5 journal articles. The other research is on gray water for concrete mixing. We try to research, this is ongoing research also. We try to use treated and untreated gray water for concrete mix design compared to the conventional water we use, that is the tap water. So we try to characterize the gray water, and then we use different concrete types, and then we checked the strength and the durability of the concretes. Of course, if we use gray water, that means we are saving money also. And of course, this is about water recycling. The last project is about how we can harness flood energy. This is done also by my doctoral students. Through the survey of the potential of flood energy in South Africa, we studied about 145 large dam sites. And based on our analysis, the flood energy can generate 2,840 megawatts during, if we consider 200 years return period. This is equivalent to approximately 25 billion rand every year. We can save 25 billion because of this research. And of course, we can reduce CO2 emissions also. There are other research also I've just passed. And I'm passing to my last topic, an interesting topic, where I try to give my views on some of the important topics. The first one is water supply in South Africa. The South African water supply is facing a number of challenges. There is aging of water infrastructures, the water loss leakage, inefficient water utilization in the management, there is a lack of capacity, water scarcity, water quality deteriorations, and climate change, etc. But I'm not discussing about all these problems. Because of this, some people are suggesting South Africa water supply is in crisis. We are in crisis because South Africa is the water scarce country. Is one of the top water scarce countries in the world. This is based on the physical water availability. The current available fresh water, both surface and groundwater, can sustain 80 million population only. That's why they are saying water is scarce, but we have a number of challenges also on top of that. But there are opportunities, by the way. There are water-saving opportunities in South Africa, which can be implemented. With better management, the crisis can be reversed. I will try to talk some of these challenges. If we consider the aging of water infrastructures, based on the SAICI, that is South African Institute of Civil Engineers, the infrastructure report card in 2022, the bulk water supply infrastructure in South Africa is categorized as D-. The category is from A to F. And it's from A to E, and we are at D-, that means we are at risk of failure. Most of the water infrastructures, they are very old, exceeding their design life of 50 years. And they require replacement. And at current rand value, the replacement cost is more than 400 billion rand to replace the existing infrastructure, not new, the existing infrastructures. That means at least we need 20 billion every year to replace in the coming 10 years. So the condition of water infrastructure is not attracting private investors. And sorry to say that it seems the water infrastructure in South Africa is underestimated, underinvested, and or neglected. The other idea is challenges about water loss and leakage. The non-revenue water, that means where we are not collecting revenue, is 47% currently. So the water diverted from the source, only 53% will reach to the consumer's house at consumption level only, or at domestic level. 47% is lost. And in 2010, it was 37%. In 2016, it was 41%. In 2023, it is 47%. It's supposed to increase during this period because this is the period where we implemented the Sustainable Development Goal. And South Africa implemented a strategy where to go with the United Nations agenda, SDG agenda, and they try to implement a number of strategies to reduce the water losses. But still, it's showing increasing trend. There are non-payment by consumers. There are non-payment by consumers, by municipalities, and some of the companies also. So we need a feasible strategy that must implement to reduce the water loss or leakage in the system. If we reduce the water loss at least by 15%, that water might be available for other purposes. So of course, in some cities, they implemented a good water conservation and water demand management strategies, which was devised in 2017 by Department of Water and Sanitation. The other problem is about inefficient utilization and management. The water consumption in South Africa is very high, by the way. It's more than the recommended international standard. The average water consumption is more than 300 liters per capita per day. International recommendation is 185 liters per capita per day. And interestingly also, we checked the behavior of students and staff at UJ. The residence students, their water consumption is more than 400 liters per capita per day. More than 75% of the water consumption is because of bathing or showering. That means they don't close the valves, by the way, when they are showering or bathing. Last year, I used to have a nanny. Since she came to our house, the water bill increased significantly. And I check when she is taking a shower or bathing, and the water is flowing continuously for 50 minutes. And I asked her, why don't you close the valve? She said, we don't close in our village, water is free. In some areas, they don't know the value of water because water is free. In Johannesburg City, this is the non-revenue water. It was almost 40.3% in 2017 because the city of Johannesburg implemented a number of strategies to reduce the non-revenue water, and in 2020 is reduced to 34.5%. So they are on the right side to decrease the non-revenue water. So the higher water consumption in South Africa might be due to the behavior or attitude towards the value of water. It's not only South Africa, other regions also the water consumption is, other countries also high. That means there is a need to create awareness among communities and the students about value in the use of water. When students are coming to UJ, we have to teach them the value of water. And the UJ is supposed to invite me for that. The last challenge I would try to talk is about water tariff and water value. The value of water in the world is underestimated, by the way. Everywhere in the world, the water is underestimated, which is not compatible with its contribution to life. Water is one of the most precious resources in this world, next to air, by the way. Even water is most precious compared to energy. But water is considered as a free commodity, a public good, where everybody has access to it. So we are neglecting the economic value of water. That's why the water tariff is very low. And the low water tariff is encouraging high water consumption, and it's discouraging investment in water sector. So what shall we do then? Shall we provide free water for all or for the poor? Is it required to revise the water tariff? The answer is yes. We can provide water for the poor, but I don't support the idea of free water, because free is always cheap, by the way. If you pay a penny, you give a value, by the way. If you pay something, then you give a value for that. But the tariff structure also requires revision in South Africa also. We can revise the tariff structure by considering the value of water as a public good and also as economic value. So when we are setting tariff structures, we can consider the different consumption levels, where we put high values for high consumers. Because in the current system, by the way, the rich can use water as far as they like because it's relatively cheap for them. They don't care about water. The second view is on climate change. Of course, climate change is linked with water. Always there is linkage between water and climate change. Of course, water is also affecting all the other sectors. They are interrelated. Of course, the United Nations also indicated civilization or urbanization is linked to water. Because of that, currently we are experiencing the effect of climate change. So climate change is a reality we are facing. We are seeing extreme events, extreme flood, extreme droughts. The frequency and the magnitude of these extreme events are increasing in recent years. South Africa is experiencing frequent droughts and frequent floods. The people are also becoming more vulnerable to the anthropogenic climate change in Africa especially. And many people or many reports are indicating Africa is the most vulnerable to the effect of climate change and the least prepared for adaptation. That means they are saying Africa is not ready for climate change adaptation or mitigation measures. Of course, that's true, but my view is that because we don't know what will happen in the future. Future is uncertain, but I say climate change might benefit Africa in the future. This is many people, they view that Africa is the most affected continent to climate change because of their economy. There are few people in the world who are suggesting Africa might be benefited from climate change. There is a change of global warming, the global cooling, every 100-year cycle. And we are at the end of global warming, and we are entering into global cooling period, which might benefit Africa. I said future is uncertain. We don't know what will happen. The other important topic is about sustainable development goal. Of course, access to safe drinking water is one of the main agendas of the United Nations. It is one of the ambitious and development pillars in United Nations agenda, which is already indicated in MDG goal number 7 and SDG goal number 6. Because water has so many benefits, and it's related to other development sectors, by the way. It's related to economics, social, financial, and environment also. That's why United Nations is giving more agenda to water sector. But I say the success of SDG is doubtful, especially in sub-Saharan African countries. By the way, MDG, the Millennium Development Goal, was also not successful in Africa because of the many challenges. It's still those challenges, by the way. The challenge during Millennium Development Goals is still existing in the Sustainable Development Goal. So many of the developing countries are struggling to access safe drinking water. In sub-Saharan African countries, they are using contaminated water, by the way. If you can see from this picture, They are using contaminated water in some parts of Africa. This is a reality, by the way. And the access to safely managed drinking water is less than 40%. Different governments are reporting their water supply coverage, they say 80%, 90%. In actual cases, they are not operating, they are not functional. Thus, they use it for political purposes. And some of these African leaders, they use it for their own propaganda and agenda also. The water, access to water also. So there are inequalities in water supply and sanitation within a country and among different countries, which is not acceptable. So this is our book we published last year related to the SDG, especially in sub-Saharan African countries. If you're interested, you can read it. So it says the United Nations declares access to water is the basic human right. It's also written in South African Constitution. Access to water is the basic human right. So we have to provide the necessary education, infrastructure and support to ensure that the SDG goal number 6 is successful. In developing countries, especially sub-Saharan African, the improving access to safe water requires the establishment of good governance. Some of the African leaders, they use the funds for water development to oppress the right of their people. The last point, sorry for your attention, sorry, I'm finishing. This is the last point. The last point is on digitalization era, or the fourth industrial revolution. 4IR, everybody is talking about 4IR, the fourth industrial revolutions, like artificial intelligence, robotics, virtual reality, Internet of Things, etc. It's a new paradigm shift, which is connecting the physical and digital world. Of course, it is changing or revolutionizing the way we live in the world currently. There are so many changes because of digital era, and this is creating opportunities and the concerns. The major concern is the potential harmful effect on humans. They are developing different AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, like the ChatGPT, the Gemini, etc. They are developing humanoids. People are thinking they might replace humans in the future. So in the future civilizations, this digitalization might affect humans significantly. That is the concern. But reality, the digitalization is reversible reality, which we have to face and embrace it in all sectors, in water, in education, etc. It's a reality we are facing today. Of course, it's the survival of the fittest, by the way. That's why I try to apply AI models in hydraulics and water management already. We published 4 articles. Still 4 of my doctoral students are applying these 4IR tools in their study. But we have to be careful. I would like to say we have to be careful how we use digital transformation in education sector. The digital transformation is challenging, by the way. There are so many challenges in education sector. We tried to address it in our publication last year. We published 2 publications related to the digital transformations in education sectors. I think we have to rethink how we implement and set policies in higher education during digital transformations. if we don't set the right policies and regulations, then our education sector is in danger. So we have to devise a controlling mechanisms, how we can keep the quality of education. So we have to devise smart ways to preserve the quality of education. We can do better than what we are doing currently. That is the last. I would like to acknowledge Almighty God, who gave me the required potential, by the way, because potential is a gift from God also, I believe in that. I would like to thank my family, my parents, wife and children, especially my parents. I'm the last in my family. My youngest or oldest brother is educated, he has PhD also, but two of my sisters and two of my brothers, they are still farmers. They gave me the chance to go to for education. They were chasing me to school, by the way, without knowing the importance of education. I would like to thank some institutions also. I would like to thank Ethiopian Sugar Industries, the Haramaya University, University of Johannesburg, Savannah University of Technology, and Austrian government for a scholarship during my doctoral study. Also, I would like to thank my supervisors from bachelor to postdoc. I would like to thank Professor Julius Ndambuki, who is my postdoc host at TUT. Professor Willibald Louis Kandel, who is my doctoral supervisor in Austria. Professor Mekonin Ayana, who is my master's supervisor. Dr. Desalegn Chameda, my bachelor supervisors. And I would like to thank also my colleagues. While I was researcher up to the full professor in different institutions, I would like to thank also my friends. So thank you, Galatoma, Amasagnalo, Nyabonga, Danke, and Danke. Galatoma, thank you.
Dr. Mpoti Ralepata, Vice Chancellor's Functionary, Professor Daniel Mashao, Executive Dean for the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be the respondent to the Professorial Inaugural Lecture of Professor Megersa Olumana Dinka. Professor Dinka presented his career profile, his research activities, and finally completed his presentation by sharing his views and experiences on some of the recent topics. First of all, I would like to congratulate Professor Dinka for his remarkable professional career and for the achievement of important milestones. I know Professor Dinka while he was an undergraduate student at Haramaya University in Ethiopia. I taught him one course and he was one of the outstanding students in his class. And no wonder why his personal growth and professional achievement at UJ are so remarkable. He moved on the academic ladder very fast, from lecturer to full professor in less than 9 years. Also, I would like to congratulate Professor Dinka for his remarkable research activities and productivity. He has been conducting research in several areas, such as the expansion of Lake Basaka and its water balance modeling, water management and utilization in the Ethiopian sugar industries, addressing water losses, including leakage in the South African water supply system, impact of land use and climate change on water resources, soil and water pollution, nature-based solution in water and wastewater treatment, etc. From his lecture on his research activities, it is possible to witness that Professor Dinka is a very active scholar and highly productive academic and has been involved in a multidisciplinary research area. Professor Dinka has been contributing to the transfer of knowledge to students and capacity building, which is evident from his postgraduate throughputs and publication outputs. Moreover, he is actively engaged in research activities that are aimed at solving real-world problems. His research areas are mostly current issues and address the fundamental problems of water and environmental engineering. I can witness that Professor Dinka has the required quality that is expected of professors. His engagement with a combined approach of theoretical, experimental, and numerical modeling to solve and address issues in water and environmental engineering is impressive. For example, the research related to the expansion of the highly saline, alkaline, and sodic Lake Basaka is interesting to note. You have noted that when all other lakes are shrinking, Lake Basaka is miraculously expanding. The secret is only known to Professor Megersa. The analysis of its spatial and temporal expansion from satellite image on GIS environment is remarkable. His contribution to the water management and utilization in the Ethiopian sugar industries and South African water supply system is also very significant. I'm also impressed by the views of Professor Dinka on some of the current and important topics that are affecting South Africa in particular and the world in general. And you have followed his passionate presentation on water supply issues in South Africa, on climate change, sustainability, and digitalization. On water supply in South Africa, he highlighted the challenge of South African water supply sector, such as the aging water infrastructure resulting in significant water loss, which is estimated to be around 47%. On climate change, he emphasized on the need for adaptation strategies and preparedness. On sustainability, indicate the need for working towards sustainable management and use of water, and that the success in achieving the relevant SDGs depends on the holistic effort and coordination among the various water use sectors. On digitalization and 4IR, he noted that the transformation and adoption of 4I technologies present formidable challenges and opportunities, and the need to embrace it for the betterment of the society. Finally, as a respondent, I would like to say that Professor Dinka has remarkable experience in research, teaching and learning, postgraduate supervision, community engagement, and academic citizenship, that is administration. I would like to say congratulations and welcome to the family of professors. And I thank you.
We have come to the end of the formal part of our proceedings tonight. Once again, I would like to thank Professor Daniel Mashao for the Dean for tonight, and also thank Professor Dinka. You left me with a problem, Prof, because the 400 liter per capita per day that UJ students use, I must somehow find it. So I will be thinking about it as I drive home tonight. But thank you very much for a very insightful presentation. I found it extremely interesting, and I hope that I'll find time sometimes to visit you again because I know where you are. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much. You have been a fantastic audience. After this, you are invited to enjoy some refreshments in our executive lounge. Enjoy the rest of the evening further. Thank you and God bless you.